more on this story, we can bring in our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons. Rob, a war crime is taking place essentially before our eyes in Mariupol.
That seems a pretty fair assessment. Those are words reiterated by the German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock as well, and many others, it has to be said, around the world. And the reason why they're calling it a war crime is because this is not just indiscriminate bombardment of Mariupol, a tactic which we've seen used by the Russians in the past, most notably in Grozny and small towns around Chechnya, like Komsomolskaya, but also in Aleppo in Syria as well. This seems to be taking things a little bit further. These attacks on the theatre, on the art school, where refugees were taking shelter, over 1,000 in the case of the theatre, 400 apparently at the art school, seem to be targeted attacks. And that would seem to fit into a military doctrine increasingly adopted by the Russians to use collateral damage as a weapon of war. It seems to be increasingly accepted as a method used by the Russians ever since the 1990s. Some might say even earlier that they started adopting it during the Afghan war, but certainly the Chechen war and in Syria, it started to be used in a quite deliberate manner. That, I think, is what is happening. The scenes we're getting from described to us from people coming out from Mariupol, some 40,000 people are believed to have escaped, are horrifying in their descriptions of the street-to-street fighting, the impossibility, as you pointed out, of rescuers getting to sites where there have been thousands of people trapped beneath the ground, as in the case of the theatre. They just can't get anywhere near it to try and begin the rescue because of the fighting going on around them.
I spoke to the deputy mayor of Mariupol yesterday, and he just told me what's going on is indescribable. It was really sad. Talk us through some reports, Rob, that we're getting of these forced deportations from Mariupol to Russia.
Yeah, I mean, the reports that we're getting from people like the deputy mayor are indeed heartrending, including reports not confirmed, it has to be said, by outside sources, but how do you go about getting confirmation in these circumstances? But according to the Mariupol authorities, somewhere between 4,000 and 4,500 residents of Mariupol have been forcibly removed from the city and taken from places where they've been hiding, like clinics, sports centres, and taken out of Ukraine and into Russia, first of all to a detention centre, a clearing camp at Taganrog in southwest Russia. And then, once they've had their passports confiscated and their mobile phones, once they've been checked by Russian security, allegedly they're being taken far further away, in some cases apparently to eastern Siberia. It has to be said that some Russian speakers from Mariupol almost certainly are going voluntarily as well. These are people who would have sympathized perhaps with the Russian invasion, would have sympathized with the Russian-backed separatists in the Donbass region. According to the Donbass separatists themselves, somewhere in the region of 2,900 people have been evacuated, they say voluntarily. It's likely to be a mix of the two, but it seems very likely that the Russians have indeed been forcibly deporting people from Mariupol, as well as taking those who are going voluntarily.
Rob, thank you very much for that. Rob Parsons there.